Our next guest on the Epic Transformers podcast. This is Archer Thomas Knightley, he, him pronouns, and he is a graphic designer and renegade tattoo artist for @QueerBanana. Director also of Business Outreach Children's Division, Managing Director for Dapper Quill. So welcome, Archer, and I just want to start by, I just love the names of your businesses. Those are so creative, and definitely excited to explore how those came to be and what inspired you to create those things. But just to start, we'll start with your epic transformation journey as a trans man, and yeah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I love your energy so far. Like, I feel like you're the first person that I haven't met formally, like in person before on the podcast. So, just through our conversations online, like, I feel like you've just been so open and really easygoing to talk to. So, I just feel really curious about like what's gonna come through because one, I love learning about people, but yeah.
Southern hospitality coming through.
It's not the fake Southern hospitality, though.
No, I worked hard for it.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. So I think because of that, I feel like if you want to just start off with giving us some of the cliff notes about your gender journey, and then, I can ask some more clarifying questions as you start to share more about your journey with us.
Yeah, for sure. I think mine may have happened even before birth. The furthest I can think back about gender is since I was little, my mom, she would tell me the story about before I was born, they thought I was a boy. And they already gave me a name of Caleb Allen, it would be like my family middle name. My dad and my brother, they share the same middle name, which is Allen. And so in my head, I think maybe I always just thought maybe I am. But I was raised in the church, and my mom would have to persuade me at a very young age to get, at church to put on a dress by like me being able to take a Ninja Turtle in my purse and stuff like that. I think because I was so, even in my youth, like as a teenager and early 20s, like early 20s was still in the church. Like I was a young life leader even, which if you're not familiar with what that is, it's like a college student-led organization within a local high school of that college. So I was a college student teaching high school students and, trying to tell them about religion. And so I was like in this mentality for such a long time that I never really thought about my own gender. And I had a steady boyfriend from 13 to 17, and we were trauma bonded because we both lost our mothers together. So there wasn't really a lot of space for me to figure it out, and I really didn't realize I was queer till I was about 21.
Okay.
And then I met my wife around 22, and we got married in 2013. So we've been married about 11 years, and about 2018 or so, or no, about 2016, I stopped shaving my face. I've been shaving my face since I was like 13 years old. I have a lot of testosterone. Biologically, I found out at a later age that I am biologically, without any outside influence, non-binary, which was like, when I found that out around 2020 during quarantine, I was having some other health issues. It gave me like a sense of peace because I had been battling with my own gender for such a long time, being like someone who was bearded. I bought my first binder in 2018 as well. And I've been, presenting masculine since then, and I went back and forth with pronouns for a while, and my dead name was one that could be shortened and masculinated. So that felt good. But around 2021, it got pretty sketchy for me to be where I was living, which was East Tennessee. And I was actually like in the Smoky Mountains, like Gatlinburg, Sevierville area, and it was like pretty aggressively not okay for me to be there, and I was getting scared to like even go to the bathroom. And I have friends in North Carolina who have a tiny house in their backyard, and they opened it to me and my wife. And we jumped on it. And as soon as we moved here, it's like I called it queer Disneyland. every shade imaginable of the rainbow. We're like, now I'm like, are we just like the straight, boring white couple who's like monogamous? And because but it gave me clarification, and I changed my name or started using a different name, and because I could start over. And that was like such a blessing to me to be able to start. So from about 2021, I've been going as the name that I have now and the pronouns that I have now. So it was quite a journey. But when you look back on it, it's like, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, wow. I love that. I had one question come through. You said you started wearing a binder at 2018, but didn't you also say that you didn't really like, open up to your queer identity until like 2021? Or did I hear that incorrectly?
No, I was 21 years old.
Oh, you were 21. Okay.
Yeah, which was, I don't even know, like 2011 maybe, something like that.
Oh, okay. I got you.
36 now, so.
Yeah. Do you feel like during those years from like 2011 to even 2018, right? Like, do you feel like there was a lot of internal struggles during that time?
Yeah, especially from how I was raised. I had a lot of deconstruction to do, a lot of internalized homophobia and transphobia and that I internalized onto myself. Like, I was the most accepting outwardly, even of myself and of my wife. But I internalized all of this, all these terrible things because it was just hammered into me from such a young age. And it's hard. It's hard to overcome when you don't have a community around you or resources, and sometimes you don't even know what you're looking for. But yeah, there was so much struggle. Because when I was female presenting, I would get misgendered a lot as male, and then and then vice versa, because I continually wear a mask now when I'm out and about, just because why not? A lot of people in my area still do. It's just, which is great. But where I don't take testosterone. So my voice is still the same voice I've always had. Even though my beard sticks out of my mask, I'll still get misgendered sometimes. And sometimes I don't like to make phone calls about just, silly stuff like call the bank or call and make an appointment or something in fear of getting misgendered. But I think getting my name changed officially has given me a new jolt with that, because I no longer have to identify with that dead name.
Yeah. I'm curious about like how it's gone on with like your family and coming out and having these conversations with them.
My brother is 8 years older than me, and we are super close. My sib kid is about 13 years old. Uses she, they pronouns. And when they came out as, at the time, non-binary, I had a conversation with our dad, And basically, because my dad and my stepmom were not using proper pronouns or even their new name.
Mm.
And at that point, they dead named me, weren't respecting my name for 7 years. But I didn't feel like I could advocate for myself as much as I wanted to advocate for my SIP kid. And so I did, and then our father disowned us all last year after I had that conversation with them. So it wasn't the like me being queer or even me being trans. It was like me standing up and trying to have a conversation about it. But some people are like not able to have conversations, and he's never been a person who was able to have like a real conversation. Communication was like not a thing in our house.
Wow.
But he was always kind of like a secondary parent to us anyway. We were much closer with our mom, and
Gotcha.
yeah.
Mm.
And she would have been one who was like in the parades and shit. She was like, even though she, was raised even more strict than we were, she would have. It would have been a journey that she took with my brother and I, as far as deconstruction. I feel like personally.
Okay. How old were you when she passed?
17.
17. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had already started like kind of opening up the envelope at that point? I thought it was
No, not till about 21 or so. I had the same boyfriend that I always had with her. But later when I came out as queer, her best friend was like, "Your mom knew," and I was like, "Oh, that gives me comfort to know."
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that I think she pushed me in the other direction really hard a lot. Like I was like a child model and pageants and all this stuff.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think that the reason that she did is because of how we were, because of how we were raised. I think that she just didn't want me to have pain. That's
Yeah.
kind of how I see it. I can't ask her, but my interpretation of how deeply she loved her children, I feel like that's probably why. I never felt judged or anything by her, and she would be the kind of mom who was like, get you anything that you needed, you wear whatever you want to wear. It was just more like the public facing reality of it. She wanted it to be a lot different than it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I have kind of an interesting story with my dad passing because when he never knew I was trans, but he knew that I was queer. I came out as like a lesbian when I was in high school and stuff. And so I also have a sister who's older and she is also queer. And so as a family, like I guess we did a lot of learning because both of my parents grew up very Catholic. They both went to Catholic high schools. And we grew up Catholic, but our Catholicism wasn't necessarily like the strict Catholicism that I think oftentimes people think of like repenting your sins all the time. And
Right.
my parents didn't have us do that. Like, sure, we went to the like church school during the week, like, after our regular school. I don't even know if it was every week, but maybe every other week or something. And that was to the extent of like really education around. But we even like didn't talk about it at home very much, like what we were learning in religious ed. And so for me, I just didn't really. I'm like more school. I just checked out. Like I don't even feel like I know anything about
Yeah.
religion. Like I don't know the commandments by heart or anything. Like I really
Right.
like zoned out and like went somewhere else.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I feel like when after my dad died, I think it was like 2 or 3 years later, is like during the pandemic. It was around like 2020 for me, and I just remember I shaved my head one day, and I just like looked at myself in the mirror, and it was like within the first week of me shaving my head, I kind of like saw myself really for the first time, and I was like, there you are. Like I finally
Yeah.
can see you, you know? And then I told my mom, and she kind of had like the similar kind of like thing that she said when I came out as a lesbian, like 10 years prior, like, I think that's going to be kind of hard for you. And so it kind of like took me back, and I just like went into another like shame portal, essentially. And it was getting really dark, and I'm a fairly bright, like happy oriented person. Like I like being alive. I feel like there's a lot to life is good. And so I was just kind of struggling to feel like I knew a way forward, like a way to keep going, because I just didn't understand like how I could go. And I didn't quite have like the words to express it at the time, but I was meditating in my room, turned off all the lights because I was just overstimulated by my phone and social media. And I put on a candle, and I'm like, I guess we're just gonna lay here until you, God or universe or you, whoever, can give me a tangible sign that like, something, give me a message of some kind that I can do I just need to know like that it's real and that I'm not going crazy and all these things. So I like laid there, and I shit you not, I opened my eyes and I saw a bright white light on my wall, and instantly I knew it was my dad. And my dad basically sent me a message of just be you, baby. And like he would say like that. He was, the way I could describe my dad is like he wasn't a staunch, like, masculine, brutish man. He was a tall, skinny, goofy, lanky, athletic type of man that, as far as I could tell, he had like more artistic, kind of creative types of things. He liked to cook, he liked to design like stuff, and into fashion and things like that. But and he could open space for really big emotions. Like I could cry with him and just bawl with him, and he would just hold space. And then I'd like wipe my snot on his shoulder, and we would be laughing, like
Right.
this capacity to hold all of these extreme emotions and not make them, oh my God, you're going crazy, or I should worry about
Right.
it because you're showing this huge emotion. I think I taught him a lot about expressing the emotion, because I think that was something that he didn't really know how to do for himself. He could hold the space, but he couldn't really get it
Express
flowing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like a huge moment for me, I feel like, in terms of like him communicating with me directly. And then it's like, it's changed and it's evolved over time, but he definitely still shows up in different ways to like,
Yeah.
it's been really
It's
cool.
it's cool. Yeah, it's cool when you can ask for stuff for things like that,
Yeah.
and get some responses, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Cause like I feel like I kind of needed that. I instantly went and told my roommate. I was like, "Hey, I needed to talk to you." I brought her into my room, and I just told her like, "I think I'm trans," and she was just like, "I love you," like,
Yeah,
full embrace. I love you. I was
that's
living in an
great.
all queer household, and we were living in Hillcrest in San Diego, so everything is like queer. You see rainbows everywhere. You know that it's a
Right,
safe place, but there was still like I didn't have any trans friends. I didn't. I had a community of like
right.
friends, right? But no trans people that I really
Yeah,
had friendship with. So
yeah. I had nothing in East Tennessee. The people in East Tennessee who do identify as trans don't identify as trans. Does that make sense? They want to be identified as a cisgender person, uh,
mhm.
because of the stigma in that area. They really, it's like it's beyond about passing. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah,
be this way or die. Whereas like where I'm from has like a very large lesbian community. I mean like large gun toting, you know, jeep driving, carabiner wearing lesbian community.
got it. Love that.
But they're all under the guise of being the same as everybody else around them. They don't want to be, I don't know that any of them would say they were queer. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. there's
Yeah.
still that level of like trying to kind of mask in a different way, just like kind of blend almost into the
Mhm.
norms of
Yes,
society.
it's internalized shame, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I like was realizing that I'm trans, I was like, I literally had a thought. I'm like, this is the absolute last thing I would want to be. I feel like, and that was great. Like, I just felt like,
Oh,
I
no.
love other people. I love other people for who they are. I'm like, why would that be the worst thing? But there was something in me. I knew this was going to be one of the scariest journeys, just because of like how I can't. I mean, it was scary being queer, but it was more like just, making other people uncomfortable and not wanting to do that, right? And
Yeah.
and then this feels like more than that. This doesn't feel like just about uncomfortability. It's about that discomfort being so large that they would physically cause harm to me or to other people. Like
Yeah.
that is a very distinct big line, and that makes a lot of sense why so many people would be like afraid to be trans or to come out as queer or to be, fully developed or enveloped in like who they really feel they are inside and stuff. So yeah, but that's a big reason why I feel like I'm creating this podcast, is because I think that so many of us have gone like down basically into like the depths, right? And gone it and find different communities either online or, that was a huge thing for me, finding like a trans support group online and just feeling connected um, and hearing other people's where they're at in their journey and how they're, moving through it. And it was just such an important part for me. But now I feel like part of who I am and my journey that I've been on, and, you know, all the different rooms and different places that I've explored myself, it has been like, why do we just do this? Why do we just dance in a closed room? Why can't we be out there dancing? Or why do we have to, have a parade in order to celebrate? Like I want to celebrate
Right.
life as much or as and on any day as possible, like.
I
And
think
so,
community is the most important thing, and you don't
yeah.
realize it when you don't have it, but it's so I mean, I've been with my wife for 11 years, but there are things that she will never, never understand. And that's just I have to accept that, and but I have people in my, immediate the so I still live in the tiny house, and the man who lives in the big house on the property is also trans.
Okay.
So he's like my brother now. And that's like a connection I never knew I could have. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, I have a connection with the brother, and he also has siblings as well. But you know how it is. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like
It's so
it's
different.
it's so it's so different. It's so
Yeah.
different, but it's so important, especially for if someone is younger or there's no one else around them. Um, and you don't realize that you can have like an online community like that, and people can get together and they can do this, they can Zoom, they can FaceTime, just having that like support, checking in. I think it's just
Absolutely.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you bringing up younger versions is bringing me to a question I wanted to ask you about now where you're at. When you look back at like your little version of yourself, has
Mhm.
the how you see yourself as a younger person, has that changed? And how how that even maybe not even just like looks, but the feeling of that little version, has that changed now as you look back?
Yeah. Yeah, it has to. I think I'm not saying it has to, but for me it had to. You know what I mean? Because I felt like I was talking about earlier, like my mom put me in so many things that were gendered for females, like pageants, photo
Mm,
shoots. Um, church was a stage too because her father was a pastor of a church. So when we would visit that church, we were the family. Do you know what I mean? So we had to present ourselves in this certain way, and it was like, I just look back at myself and see myself like struggling. but no one had the resources. Like my mother didn't have a resource, or there were no resources then as to like if your child is trans, like there are now.
Yeah.
Where I think it's so beautiful. Like my first week when I moved to North Carolina, I babysat a trans kid. And it was just like I was like, this is amazing that places like this exist. Because when you come from a place where that doesn't exist, it does exist other places. And I know not everyone can move. Not everyone has the ability to move from their place, or they might even still be young enough where they're still under their parents' house and needing resources and stuff. But they're online and they can build those communities until they are of age and can save money and get out and go build their own new communities with those people.
Yeah. I also was curious, like, have you reconstructed any of those memories? Like, do you see yourself as like a little boy, or do you talk to him as he, and do you ever like kind of think about like him doing or being in an activity that you actually felt like you wanted to do versus like the pageants or anything like that?
I did have like, even though that was my outwardly appearing life, you know what I mean? And that, like I said, my mom was supported. Like, let's just use like toys as an example, you know, like she would get me a Barbie, but then she would also get me like a toy motorcycle. You know what I mean? So like, you know, because I completely always just mutilated Barbies. Like they immediately had shaved heads. She bought me a Barbie stretch car once that like stretched into like a limo, and I turned it into a lawnmower. Like so I see like, and I didn't get chastised or anything like that. You know, I just was known as like the kid who tore up things, but it wasn't that I was tearing up things. It was just like I was making it so that it was like better for me.
Yeah.
You know, but I think my brother kind of helped in that way too. Like I don't know that he subconsciously knew it. I feel like now he looks back and he was like, oh, I feel like I did okay as a big brother, because like he bought me like my first Power Ranger, you know, and that was like one of the best days when you get the green Power Ranger. Because I named myself after the Green Power Ranger. My middle name's Thomas, after Tommy, the Green Power Ranger.
Nice.
So when I got the Green Power Ranger that like flipped inside of it, its head flipped inside of its body and back out, it was like the greatest day for me. And I always got to wear, you know, the clothes I wanted to wear unless it was Sunday. So I do look back and see myself as a little boy. It just was what it was.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like to tell your little inner child version of yourself now?
I think I do that a lot. I think that's one of the best healing processes, is like how yourself or your future self needs to go back and comfort your younger self and give yourself that comfort that you didn't have at that time, or that support that you didn't have at that time. So I've done that a lot of instances. I don't know that there's one thing in particular. I mean, obviously there's hope. It gets better is our freaking anthem, right? Is that it does get better. But it does take work, you know. But if you have the willingness and the zealous to keep being alive, then it's gonna happen for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna tell little Archer, like, you're gonna be really hot and you're gonna have an awesome life.
You know, I do look in the mirror a lot more now than I used to.
Yeah.
So I will look in the mirror. You know, I used to always be like pretty confident and cocky, but my wife is just like rolls her eyes at me all the time, because I'll just look in the mirror and be like, "Look at this, look at this."
Yes.
It's important. It's important, you know,
Yes, it is.
because you
Absolutely.
feel because, like you said, you shaved your head and you said, "There I am. There you are, Peter." And I say that
Right.
to myself all the time, like from Hook, the movie. You know, I say that,
Yeah.
"There you are, Peter."
Yeah, for sure. And on the other side of it too, like I feel like, I mean, just the amount of like kind of dysmorphia people have had and are having around their bodies and how they think about them and how they feel about them, how they treat them. And like, it is one of the biggest things that I think so many of us humans go through in our lives. And yeah,
Yeah, I think that there's like a misrepresentation as what society and even our community is guilty of putting labels on everything, putting images with everything, but it's like there's no one wrong way to look, there's no right way to look. You don't have to take tea, you can take tea, you don't have to have surgery, you can have every surgery. Do you know what I mean? And so as you know, I encourage the listeners, no matter what stage they're at, if they're not happy with what they look like or present like, then you can change that. But just know what body you're in, that is a trans body. It is. And it's beautiful, no matter what stage it's at. And it's important to embrace yourself at whatever stage you're at.
yeah, that was good.
Go.
I like that one. Yeah. Okay. I like the next question I would like to ask you is what do you feel makes your transformation epic?
Epic.
And I said underneath, think of inner and outer worlds within yourself and your body as well as within and around your environment.
I think anyone who comes out of a kind of situation I was and environment that I was raised in, any sort of transformation, not just a literal trans transformation, is epic. Even like somebody who comes out of my situation and identifies as like an atheist, that's epic. It's the buck. I came from the buckle of the Bible Belt. You know, the freaking clasp that shuts it, where there are more churches than Starbucks
Wow.
kind of place.
Yeah.
You know, and like I think that's what makes it epic. Not only that, but being able to get out of it, love myself, and just spew love and love everyone, even forgive people. Um, that's what makes it epic. And it's mine. That's what makes it epic.
Yeah.
It's my own, I'm my own hero in my story, and everyone's their own hero in their story. But you have to get to a point where you can see yourself as the hero.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of deconstruction isn't just for religion. It's for a lot of things. And the word to deconstruct any way of thinking that stops you from being your truest self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? I think I mentioned that movie 1946.
Oh yeah.
Did you end up? Were you able to watch it at all?
I didn't get to watch it. I've come in contact with it a lot, and I have like a lot of different groups that I'm a part of that we speak about stuff like that, movies like that a lot. And I think these kind of stories are so important. You know, when I had a friend who came out when I was still in high school, and I looked at her as kind of like a spiritual guide, and she came out as a lesbian. And I really struggled with that as a 16-year-old because this was like my person who I really looked up to in the spiritual realm, and they were like edgy and wore ties and had different color hair, you know. Um, And so it was like, oh, you can love God and still be yourself kind of thing. And I appreciated that at that age. So when
Mm.
she came out, I really struggled with that. For obvious reasons now, but I came across a book called like God and the Gay Christian. And if you are a person who fully wants to believe that the Bible is like canon and that it's the only word, I encourage you to read it. If you don't, then disregard it, because at that time in my life, that's how I believed. And so it's actually written by a gay man who went and looked up the initial text and the actual definitions of every word, and it comes across that storyline where that word wasn't even entered into the realm of knowledge back then, or even into the Bible until that time period.
Right.
Um, so it's important. It's an important film. That's an important book, especially for people who probably come. I think it's a good first step for a lot of people.
What is the name of it again?
It's called God and the Gay Christian.
God and the Gay Christian. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'll put that in the show notes just so that if people want to look into it.
Yeah. I knew I needed to deconstruct it. It was a really scary concept for me, because when you push aside the concept of that there is no hell, that's very scary for someone whose grandfather especially was like the pillar of hellfire and brimstone.
Yeah.
Any problematic Southern pastor in the time period between like the 60s to the 90s, my grandfather had direct relation with. So we were like a pretty large, like we were a small family, but pretty large in that space, and
Yeah.
held space for a lot of those kind of people. So when I watch shows like The Righteous Gemstones, where it's like, satire on those people, I see people that I interacted with. And
Right.
it's hard. It's hard to get out of that mind frame, and you don't realize how deep that stuff is. But if we stop our journey based off of fear, then we won't get where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You can't let fear win in any situation. In our situation is like where we are as American people, where you are on your journey, you can't let fear stop us.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that gives me the most hope for the future is looking at the past, looking at our queer past. Are you familiar with Polly Murray? So Polly Murray used both pronouns. Wasn't sure what to call themselves, so for the purpose of this, I'll use they them pronouns for them. They were a lawyer, a Black person, a priest in the Episcopal Church. They were on the team that fought Brown versus the Board of Education. They got arrested 16 years before Rosa Parks did for not giving up their seat on a bus. They were one of the biggest influences for RGB. And so when people say we need to go back to the shadows, or they want to put it like, we've not ever been there.
Right.
We have been part of the catalyst of building what this country looks like from the beginning.
Right.
And we will continue to be. It just is what it is. It doesn't matter how much, we've become the clickbait, and we've become the thing that helps promote. And the thing that I know from where I come from is it's a tested thing, especially within the market of Christian voters. They tested out homosexuality back in the 60s, and it wasn't biting as big then as abortion. So then they picked abortion because that is the whole reason Christians started television, is to be able to help control the votes of the Republican Party. It's wild.
Yeah.
So if we're being used, let them use us. Let them call us what they want to. Talk about us all you want to. We're not going to go anywhere. It doesn't matter. We're going to keep doing what we do. And we have to. We have to
Yeah.
keep building our community. That's
Yeah.
it.
To give people who are seeking, who are trying to, they're looking for maybe a sense of hope. Is there one of your most gender euphoric moments that you could share with all of us thus far that you've had?
Yeah, well, I've legally changed my name recently. I know you asked one of your questions was about important dates. And so December 2nd of this year, officially, I got my name changed legally,
Nice.
which is great. It's
Yeah,
a process to change every single thing after that,
for sure.
but it's a beautiful thing. And there are places that will, it's a lot of red tape. It costs some money, but most large cities have
Resources.
funds, resources that they can give you grants if that's something you want to do. And there, I fully believe that that will continue,
Me
even
too.
past January 20th. I believe states will stand
And
up for us and allow that. And yeah,
and for hormones, I feel like the same with hormones. Like I feel like those aren't gonna change. I mean, it might. I feel like there's so many doctors that are willing and are going to work with us if it means they're going to change the language of like how they're prescribing
yeah,
it. But we're so protected in that realm as well, I feel. And so
we,
I love that it's initiating a lot of people to take action. And I'm
yeah,
if it's fully so fear based, like that, I want other people to know too that we don't have to necessarily be afraid. We can start. We're so creative too. There's so many creative outlets and networks now too.
we have just as many lawyers, just as many,
Yeah,
on our side as they do. We have
yeah,
people, like you said, who are going to be willing to change the verbiage for us to get
yeah,
access to the things that we need. I fully believe that. Um, and it might get gray. It might not be sunshine and rainbows. But we will have to make our own,
yeah. Sure.
and it doesn't, even if you're not in a place where you can get those legal documents changed or anything, it doesn't mean you still can't be yourself and advocate for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I remember when I first changed my name first to Elliot, before I even changed it legally, like I made a poster like this and I put my name on it and I said established and I put the date and it was
Yeah.
like I get to choose who I am. Nothing outside of me is gonna, make me who I am. I get to decide this first. And when I changed it legally, I mean it was like a spiritual experience. It felt like this kind of next chapter, so to speak. And I went through the
Yeah.
gate or a portal, and it was like, wow, that really was important for me to do as well. And even when it was hard, I was like, God, I mean, like, can I do like, am I gonna blah blah blah, all these things? And then I did it, and it was like, and it was also like, hey, you did that. As hard as it was, you completed that on your own. Nobody showed you how to do that. Nobody taught you how to do that. You did that individually and stuff. So it was a huge like being proud of who I am too, to see that I took the action steps that I needed to take in order to, yeah, feel more complete within
Yeah.
myself.
It's important. It's important. And yes, people can like celebrate those victories with us, but like it will be more here with you within yourself than anywhere.
For
And those
sure.
are good moments also to be like I have a really nice coffee place that I pick up coffee, and it's probably 35 minutes from town, but the day that I went and got my went and applied for my license and that was like basically as soon as you get that license and everything's done, everyone takes it and changes everything. So when I got my license application in, got my gender marker changed all the same day, it was like, I'm going to take myself for coffee. I'm buying, celebrate yourself. You did it, bro. You did it. I'm a real boy now. And it's
Yes. I love that. Okay, before we start talking about your art things and passions, is there anything that you would like to say to the future version of yourself? Like maybe this ties into some of your goals that you have coming this next year, or even beyond that. Like it's open to your interpretation where you want to go with it.
I feel like my future self is my now self. And the reason I say that is because, sorry if I get emotional, I'm sure on your journey as well, there are times you don't ever think you're going to get there. And we did it. That's the most important thing is you did it. And no one but us knows how hard it is. And we did it. And that's a beautiful thing. And each step, you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I really appreciate you saying that though, because I think there's always like, for me at least, this feeling of like the next thing, the future thing, like always like trying to progress and like move forward and like become
I do that hard. Yeah, I do that hard.
Greater version and this other version. I'm like, what about him right here? Like, yes, like,
yeah.
I
think we all have dreams and wants for like, I think that's past the trans people. That's just like not billionaires, right? Anyone who's like not in the 1%, we're all trying to like have a home, have land, do, right? And we're all like renting. Very little of us like own homes or anything like that. Some of us do, and that's wonderful and beautiful. But there is always something to work towards, and there should always be something to work towards. But yeah, if we don't live in the present, then we're just running. But like, look how far you've come, and you did it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm curious about your tattooing and your bookmaking business, and I'd love to hear more about like how those came to sprout and to be formed, and tell us a little bit about those types of things.
Well, Queer Banana is my company. Dapper Quill is my friend's company, and I have a position in that company. But it's just the two of us, so it's not a very large company. I'll speak first to the tattoo company. In late 2019, I left the corporate world where I was living. At the time, I was working in Savannah and running a honey company. I won't name them, but that should say enough. If you know, you know. And I loved that job, but my wife was not so happy in her position running a business downtown as well, and wanted to go back to the mountains. So right before the pandemic hit, about a few months before the pandemic hit, we moved back to East Tennessee, and I pursued a career in the arts. I was doing comic books online during the pandemic, which was really fun and different for me, a different way. But it also was, if anyone out there is an artist, you understand sometimes you're in a position where you have to like continually pitch yourself. over and over again for different positions. When I moved to North Carolina, tattooing is something I've always wanted to do, but I have a really low threshold for pain. And I know part of it is you have to do it on yourself. I think I just got over it and was like, I just want to do this. My wife has always wanted to be covered in tattoos, and I wouldn't mind as well. And I saw a need also, especially in my community, for people to have tattoos that were affordable, that they didn't have to go into like a street shop. There was some drama at some street shops in the area that I live, going on, and in like the bigger city areas. There were some good queer. There are still some really great queer artists here that have shops, their own shops that you can go to. But what I do is renegade by the fact that it's not necessarily legal. Because I go into people's homes or I do parties. I just did one in a party in downtown Durham last weekend, for a birthday. And I love it. I get affordable art to people that's good, clean. A lot of my art is queer inspired or pop culture inspired. I'm really into my 90s upbringing and stuff like that. And yeah, I love it. I do custom art for people as well. But, I don't have to work. My wife has a full-time job, and so I get to kind of work when I need to, work when I want to. I've been able to take a lot of courses this past year, for my own benefit within the deconstruction world and stuff like that, which has been really nice for me and my personal growth. Um, but my friend uh, was already established as had released a children's book called Handpicked, uh, and it was under another company. And she basically got the rights back to that book, and it needed some extra illustrations done. So, where she had finished a contract with that former illustrator, she asked me if I could do it. And that's kind of what I specialized when I was doing comic books, was like shadow comic booking, which is like ghostwriting kind of thing. It's like ghost comic booking, where I would have to go in for another artist that was already a well-established artist and like recreate that stuff,
okay.
match that type of look. So I kind of already specialized in that. So I went into and we did a new cover for the book and re-released it under her publishing name. And also she released a novel, which is called The 412 Lounge, which she is a queer person as well. And so it's like a queer story of like a love affair in speakeasy 1920s Chicago.
Cool.
So that's the novel that's under the guise. And I know I talked to her today. She's working on on another project that we'll hopefully be able to put out next year or the next, another novel. And then on January 1st, we're releasing our second Handpicked. It's the same story. The first one is about a little girl named Allie Rose, and it's about being adopted because the author was adopted by her grandparents. So it's a story of like she was handpicked by her grandparents. And then, where she was at, she wasn't getting a lot of sunlight or water or nutrients. And they picked her out of the garden, brought her to their garden, and she was able to thrive, kind of story, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And then this one is called Handpicked Catching Memories. It's about the relationship between the little girl and her father and their t-ball, baseball kind of storyline that's in there. I think that we'll probably continue that series for a little while, and it comes out January 1st. And that'll be my first fully like illustrated all by myself book.
Cool.
Which was awesome. Yeah, it was really fun.
And people can purchase on January 1st. They can purchase it where?
on Amazon, or I think we're going to be attached to Books a Million as well. The way we publish, and hopefully in the future it'll be Dapper Quill Publishing, and you can look us up on Facebook and message us if you're a queer author, you have any stories. Basically, that's what we do. We filter stories to see. Hopefully, in the future, we can work with different newer upcoming authors and show them, kind of present to them how they can do it themselves, and how they can put it out themselves, or we can offer packages to them that we would take care of the publishing, the art, the publicity, the marketing, all of that stuff. We just want to where the author still lives in East Tennessee. It's not really shown as like a queer company, but internally it is.
Gotcha.
Since but she worked for a while within the like news realm, like she was like part of the newspaper. And there's still a lot of stigma. So it's not been easy to shop her book around that area, her novel around that area. So we've had to go to bigger cities, or where she grew up is close to like Asheville, North Carolina, which is like, if you just go like a couple hours, then you have like a much bigger, broader spectrum that you can.
Okay.
Stuff. So.
And then for your tattooing, where are you located again?
I'm in the triangle of North Carolina, so Durham, Raleigh, North Carolina area, Chapel Hill. And so if you're listening to the podcast, and if you put in the name of the podcast and you message me on my queer banana, so it's at queer_banana at Instagram. It has a yellow and green logo. If you message me, send me a message, and you put in the name of the podcast, and you're in the area or can get to the area, the first 20 people who put that in will get 50% off their next tattoo with me.
Sweet. I love it. And on your Instagram too, you have like, I'm guessing, a lot of examples of different pieces that
I'm really bad at social media, and I have a cis white man friend who's like one of my best friends. He's from the deconstructed community. He's a former pastor.
Okay.
So he's very like, he's an edgy guy. He's got a mullet, that kind of guy. He's really cool. But he's huge on social media.
Okay.
Huge to me. He's got like 200,000 followers. That's pretty big, right? I've got like 12. So he's all the time giving me crap about how bad I am at social media. And I tattoo him, and so he's always like, take pictures and take videos. I'm just like being present with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so hard. So most of my work I do by like word of mouth. And if a client will like post a picture, I'll repost it in my story, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I have a ton of Flash, and when mostly people message me, and then I share my work that way.
Cool.
There is some on there for sure. But I'm just not. I'm not great at social media, so don't judge me by my my small amount of art and stuff on there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been amazing. Is there anything you feel like we didn't talk about that you really want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we did a good job. We did a great job. Pass on. You need a lot more tattoos.
I do, yeah. I only have these little ones, little charmies.
Yeah,
but Oh, cool.
I have like a gap here because I can't do the back of my arm.
It's too sensitive back there, or what?
No, I just can't do it without like looking in a mirror, and that's really hard.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I physically can't do it. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been putting the at the very end, if there's one question you want to ask me, you feel free to ask me before we hop off. But that's all the questions I have for you, Archer.
Oh, okay. I don't really have a question for you. Just like if and when we get to meet, we need to go hat shopping together.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling like this is just like we're really diving in with this podcast and like my brand and everything being known for this cowboy hat, but
Yes, I
I'm
love
feeling
it.
the need for like a new vibe. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's funny with hats. Like when I went to this queer health and wellness festival like 2 or 3 years ago called Some of Us, um, I wore this very bright yellow hat that I think it said like, shoot, I forget what it said, but it was kind of like it was almost like a protection message of like if you hate me, like look at yourself, or I don't know, like it was just I don't even remember what the saying was, but anyway, I was a bright yellow hat and I ran around that festival one naked, but I would wear the yellow hat for some reason. And like I didn't realize that not only my nakedness, but like also this yellow hat was how people like how they remembered or knew me. And there's like 500 or more people at this event, and it was just amazing how people would like be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you over here. I remember you over here." And it's like so many people like remembered me. Um, and so I kind of like I have a thing with hats. Like I have a magic hat that I wear, and obviously like I have other hats I wear too. But
You
um,
need to, yeah, let's make and market you a new hat with your
okay.
own message on it, you
Yeah.
know?
Ooh, I like where this is going.
I encourage everyone to do merch. Just do it, you know? Put
Yeah.
better messages out there.
Okay. Well, I want to show you then my website because I'm curious if it'll like spark any ideas. I just created it. It's maverickmagicman.com.
Okay, that's a great name. Not easy to forget. That's why I
Right.
chose the business name I did. When I tell people, you know, it's Queer Banana, they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah. You give them an image right then and there. They're like,
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again for being here and for sharing so just candidly and honestly and openly with all of us. Like, I really enjoy your energy, and I do think we should get together in real life.
I'd love to, yeah.
I haven't been to the East Coast yet, so I think that's definitely like a part of my plan at some point to get
Go
over.
it. I'll go up and down with you. Let's do
Sweet.
it.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. Well, you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. So great to talk to you.
You too. I'll see you on the interwebs.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.